becoming more persuasive and more influential using advanced calibration. Stay tuned. This is Damon Cart with NLP Gym, and once again I am here with Dr. Matt, and we are having some fascinating conversations on some fascinating topics. And once again we're bringing another interesting topic which has been one of the parts of NLP that I've always really enjoyed, and that is sensory acuity and calibration. You take this to a whole new level. I have not quite seen skills like Dr. Matt's. Just in, I think we started where I started observing you,
All right.
was when we were at a
So you were a meta-observer, right?
Yeah. We were hanging out at a bar where we went to get some food, and he was just making commentary on the people sitting at the bar and predicting their behavior, and he was, for the most part, accurate, and this immediately pulled me in.
For the most part. Yeah.
What I realized is that you're going beyond your NLP skills here. This is not something I've seen taught in any NLP training. In fact, I asked him if this was some sort of special NLP training that he had taken, and no, it's something you've actually developed yourself. Is that correct?
Sure, because that's when you learn from different disciplines, then it's easier for you to calibrate, which is basically have a skill of what's the relationship between what's going on the inside and the external world. Because whatever you're thinking, feeling or doing is connected with some sort of process that has to be acted upon in the external reality, right? So if you know certain disciplines of knowledge like psychology and sociology and NLP and even philosophy or physiology, then your calibration skills will be better. So you cannot stick to one piece of information because you need knowledge, very generalist knowledge and widespread knowledge on different topics. For example, if someone doesn't know what kind of fabric your t-shirt is made of, they will not be able to judge how expensive it is. And without this, they don't know what kind of social class you belong to, right? So this piece of knowledge is connected with knowing more about fashion rather than, some philosophical discipline. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that you should learn and study different disciplines connected with human beings, because this is the way you will understand more. Let's focus on medicine. How much do I know about you when it comes to your physiology? Quite a lot. For example, I am able to predict what kind of sports you do and what kind of sports you don't do, right? For example, bodybuilding. You're not into bodybuilding because this is not the type of body you have, right? Your biceps is more bulky and your chest is not that well developed. Neither are your shoulders nor your back. So you must have done something manual that was connected with holding something. This gives you ideas and more probability that you are right. You never calibrate by guessing. It has nothing to do with guessing. It's taking bits and pieces of the person and putting it all together into one most probable version of reality. And once it's there, the more accurate you are, the more realistic your calibration becomes.
And I love this stuff just for the sake of it. When I was a kid and I first started seeing TV shows or movies with Sherlock Holmes, and he was able to like look at a person and know where they came from and all these predict all these things. That alone fascinates me enough to want to practice it. But there's a much bigger advantage to having these skills, and that's persuasion and influence.
Right.
How do you use this? How would a person use this in persuasion and influence?
Right. So firstly, we need to always focus on certain factors we want to calibrate, right? So let's focus on your physiology. Thanks to your physiology, I can know what kind of sport discipline you practice. If I know what kind of sport discipline you practice, I know if you're a short-term, explosive kind of personality or rather long-term personality. Considering that certain sport disciplines, like for instance golf, are more expensive than others, like basketball, I can predict what kind of investment you can make in our business relationship, right? If I know that you practice running and you run marathons or you do triathlon, I automatically know that you're a long-term kind of person, which means that if we plan for something, that I can look for long-term results, rather than if you practice sport which demands explosiveness and a lot of strength in a very short time, because it can influence your motivation that you will want to start, but later your energy will go down, right? Thanks to the relationships you have with the objects, I will understand how you relate with reality. For example, say if we're sitting on a bench. How do you sit on a bench? There might be a possibility that a person sits using the space that they are given, which is more or less this, right? My buttocks are touching this, and my back is touching the bench here. But if we go to a bar, you will see guys sitting like this, right? So they are overly territorial. Why? Because the belief there is, I am more than I am giving, right? So they are more territorial, more dominating. It already shows you that they position themselves above you. If I see someone sitting like this, and this is a relationship with an object, with a piece of furniture, right? If I see someone sitting like this, then I already know that they have a belief I don't deserve, because I'm given more than I'm taking. If someone has a watch and they constantly show you the watch, right? I don't have anything, but you know these people who do this, right? Or they do this, or someone is very proud of their shoes and they immediately show you what they have, right? Or they play with earrings or necklace or whatever there is. Then you see how they judge themselves and what they base their self-esteem on. If it's jewelry, if it's clothes, if it's about physical appearance and strength. If you have a man who is very well built and he keeps on, for example, touching his body in this way, or becoming more tense, then you obviously realize that his self-esteem is based on his strength, right? What does it mean? Well, it means that he trusts himself, he knows he can do it. It means that if you provoke him, probably he will defend himself physically, and so on and so on. All this I know thanks to your relationship with the objects. If you have a pen, how do you touch this pen, right? Do you hold it gently, and if it doesn't work, do you get angry and you break it? Thus informing me about the belief, if something doesn't work and I don't like it, I destroy it, which informs me what will happen if in our relationship I do something that you don't like, or you take it and you gently try to make it work, because if something doesn't work, it should be repaired. Or maybe if this pen doesn't work, you immediately ask for help and you say, excuse me, does anyone have a pen? Which informs me that if something doesn't work, your strategy is to look for help. So it's very good. See, how many things can you know on the basis of how someone is holding a pen? And still, this is not when I'm going to be sure that this is your reality. But if you repeat this type of behavior 3 times, that something doesn't work, and 3 times you ask for help, then I will know that your strategy of dealing with this type of reality is to look for help, which is very good. Now I know if I want to enter into business relationship with you or not, or I know what to expect, and I can educate you to change your reality. For example, you say, get angry, and I say, why don't you ask for help? It's easier, right? Or 3 times I say, here, take my pen, it's going to work, right? So remember that people execute behaviors which are not coincidental. They come from usually habituated set of automatic responses which they have been repeating for years. This way, when you are able to separate the meaning of the behavior, which says holding a pen, from the strategy which manages this set of behaviors, then you're really getting very deeply inside their psyche to know what kind of strategies of dealing with reality they have. And this is serious.
Yes, I was going to say, I said this on one of the previous videos, you could be a very dangerous man if you wanted to be, and I'm glad you're on the light side rather than the dark side.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's talk about clothes, right? Mm-hmm. Which class do you belong to? What kind of position? How do you want to position yourself in the society, right? What kind of values do you have? Is it about elegance or it's about comfort, right? People in California use different style of clothing, not only because of beach culture and because of the weather, but also because of Californian personality, right? Probably if we go east or we go to New York, even if the weather, for example, in summer is similar, people will wear different style and different kind of clothes because New Yorkers tend to define themselves differently. We're obviously stereotyping and generalizing, but every statistic does it, right? So you realize that there's certain people who will, you go on a date with a girlfriend and she needs 2 hours to prepare herself, right? So you ask a question, why does it take her so long? Is it really about clothes that she's putting on? Is a high heel shoe really for the comfort? No, it has nothing to do with comfort, right? But a lot to do with how she defines beauty. And there's certain cultures, for example, Eastern Europe, where a completely different pattern of what is feminine beauty is perceived than in Northern Europe or than in different parts of Latin America or Northern America, right? Let's talk about external objects people have. A guy buys a sports posh car. Functional definition of a sports car, of a car, is to move from one place to another. But we don't know too many men who buy cars for this reason, to transport themselves, do they, right? Mm-hmm. What do we say? Well, he wants to belong to a certain group. He wants to define himself in a certain way. He describes what kind of character he has, right? So if I see a man who has on his smartphone picture of his wife and daughter, and he came with a family kind of van, car, right? And the first thing he does in our conversation is to apologize for being late because he needed to take her daughter to kindergarten. There was so much traffic in the streets. I know that he's a family man. If I know that he's a family man, that I know A, he's a long-term person, B, he's trustworthy, C, he values connection more than anything. 4, he knows what altruism is and he knows what sacrifice is, because definitely he didn't sleep at night when the child was very small, right? He knows what it means to transform and change in crisis, because if the child is born, crisis is happening always, right? Sexuality and the couple might go down and so on and so on. There's many aspects where he's able to transform, right? I know that right now he's thinking more about the others than about himself. If he has more than one child, then his abilities to manage time must be really important. So all this, if I'm, for instance, working human resources, make me think, maybe he's a good candidate because he has certain soft skill base and attitude, personality to be a manager, because he knows how to take care of others. All this on the basis of what kind of picture he has. You understand? So
yes,
it's fascinating. It is fascinating.
Yeah.
It is, and it's very powerful because it's not really, and this is what I would like to make very clear for you guys, it's not that you draw conclusions on the basis of one t-shirt, but if you see the whole image of a person, you can start generalizing into what it means, right? What is important for the person. I mean, say we talk about sports, and you know that I do freelance wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? This kind of sport is demands completely different mentality than, say, archery, right? Someone does archery, to say that they are concentrated and they work in a precise way, obviously it's not even drawing a conclusion, it's logics, it's pure logics, right? If someone fights and hits, it's a completely different mentality than if someone grapples and grabs, right? Because they will not be more, they will defend themselves, but they will rather not attack, right? So it's also a completely different mindset. Considering the language that they use. Language informs you about education that they have. Language informs you which part of the United States they are coming from. Now you more or less know the collective minds that they have there. You definitely know what kind of political inclination they will fall into. you know about the keywords that they use, which always inform you about values, and values are the most important motivators, right? They will inform you what the person wants to buy and why they want to buy it. Then you look at the face of the person. On the face of the person, you will see temporarily appearing emotions like enthusiasm, sadness, anger, and so on. But if you have someone who is constantly like this, right, you see that they have been angry or skeptical for quite some time. What does it make you realize? That they will be looking for problems. So maybe they are a very good candidate to be an analyst in your company, but not so good to be a visionary manager or director, right, who's supposed to create an amazing future. So all this gives you information. When you have information, you start putting it into one big picture, and once you have it, you make it more probable that what you were guessing about the person is really what is happening.
How specifically might myself or anyone watching use this in sales or business?
Oh, it's very simple. Now, when you do your homework, which is you see your client on social media, for example, or on any kind of movie, if they ever appeared, for instance, on YouTube, or you read an interview, or you simply know where they are coming from, who they are, what kind of needs they have, now you know how to sell. It's never a coincidental speech that you will deliver to your client, but you will precisely know what kind of things to focus on. For example, say we spoke about this guy who has his family photo on his smartphone, right? And he says, "I'm sorry I was late." Immediately, me as a salesman, I would respond, "Oh, please don't worry. The most important is always to take care of children." Bah, we've got trust, right? Then say we're talking about life insurance, right? That you want to sell, and you say, "You know what? Before I had children, I really never understood what life insurance was about, because I had this false belief that I will never die, right? But since I have children," you're saying, "I really realized that my time will finish, and what I'm going to leave for them is really their future, their education, their health, and so on." Person who is a father or a mother will connect with this. They will understand it. Person who doesn't have children will not connect with it so much. When we talk and I want to convince you to do something, I can always refer to certain values which I know we have to share: connection, love, passion, time together, we being more important than I. So instead of saying, when you buy insurance, you will be happy, and we'll say, when you buy insurance, your family will be safe. So I refer to certain values of yours, and this way you will have an impression based on facts that I understand you. And if the salesman makes it so that salesperson makes it so that the client feels they are understood better than by other salesmen, they will buy from the one who understands them better.
Absolutely.
And to be understood, it means that we share the same values, we're similar, we've got the same objectives, the same problems, we've got the same ambitions, we share the same relationships, and we're similar on different levels. And I can know how to calibrate you by seeing you, watching you behave, by reading social media, and also asking you questions, right? When you say, "See, when I was traveling to Thailand, blah, blah, blah," you were telling me a story, immediately I will remind myself certain exotic places where I went to, right? And I say, Thailand, it's very close to Cambodia, where I went. This is an amazing place. See your smile, even though we're doing this, and it's sort of prepared setting, it still works, because it goes to this neurology there, which says he's similar to me, and if he's similar, I'm safe. So it's fundamental for sales, especially when you don't do it only one-to-one, but also when you do marketing sales, which means you talk to a collective invisible client. Because if you calibrate well your target group and you understand psychography and demography of your group, then you deliver the message that is necessary for them to connect with you. And because your story is so based on their facts and their perception of reality, they will buy from you. That's how simple it is. Calibration, sales starts before you see the client, and this is where calibration comes in. In my personal experience, and I have made different projects and consulted many implementations of sales strategies, especially in automobile industry, where we were getting really amazing business results with car sales, German car sales. What we would do, we would very precisely focus on what kind of needs and doubts our customers had, and I would train sales personnel to address these issues before clients even spoke about them. This way, before the sword of doubts was taken out from the pocket of the client, they would immediately shut it down because they knew what is going to happen anyway. And this happens with preparation, and calibration is preparation.
Wow. There's a lot to think about in everything that you just said.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm not sure I have any more questions about it now. I definitely want some of that to sink in.
Sure.
And it all makes sense. I mean, I love what you just said about calibration being preparation, preparation being calibration. I mean, that's, yeah, you're looking at all that beforehand, before you even extend your first communication. You're
Right.
observing all this information, and it really informs how you communicate to
Sure.
each individual.
And I think it's the highest execution of respect you can have,
Absolutely, yeah.
because you show respect to the person by showing similarity to them, meaning I understand you and I really put effort in getting to know you before we met.
Yeah.
So I know who you are, I know what you need, I've done my homework, right? And I'm here to help you so that we get the relationship beginning and ice breaking out of the way. So that when I meet you, I go, I know who you are just by looking at you, by asking you questions.
It makes me think of how personalized marketing has become because of the internet.
Right.
Because the algorithm is created around what you click on.
Right.
So that's how advertisers know what to pitch you. Versus just putting a billboard up.
Of course.
You know, so you're personalizing, in a sense, your marketing, which is your sales conversation,
Right.
to that person based on what you observe of them, instead of just giving them the same sales pitch you give everybody.
Well, considering industrialization 4.0 that is coming very quickly, with the notion of robotization, more than 40% of jobs are in danger of extinction because robots will take over, especially manual labor. Digitalization and automatization of everything, plus artificial intelligence. Wait till we have artificial intelligence that will know how to ask you questions and basically figure out mechanically certain algorithms of who you are, create the profile of your psyche and of your demography, and deliver you the words, specifically the ones that you need to hear in order to buy. This is pure mathematics. The only difference that right now, maybe thanks God, machines don't have the knowledge that we have here, right? So we can definitely influence better. But boy, it's really successful and it's really effective in a sense that if you know how it's done, you can use this not only in sales, but think about relationships. How many men or women choose their romantic partner wrong, right? I mean, how many times do they get married or do something serious with a person they are not supposed to do because they didn't know how to calibrate? Because a trip to Las Vegas was so amazing and we spent the weekend together. I really fell in love, so we're gonna get married because this story tale will last forever. No, it won't. It will last just a couple of more months till hormones wear off, and once they do, oh boy, you will start quarreling. So you really, before you make any sort of that serious decision, you should know how to calibrate the person. We like differences when we go on a trip to Las Vegas, but definitely we don't like differences when we start business, when we start marriage, when we choose a romantic partner, when we travel together, and so on, and build long-term sales relationships. This is where we really need to understand another person, and this is where calibration comes in handy.
Wow. Well, my last question, I do have another question, and
Perfect.
that is, and I hope there's a simple answer to this.
I doubt it. Simple it is, but not necessarily easy.
Not necessarily easy, no. Can pretty much anyone learn this?
Of course, if they know what to learn.
You were not born with this talent.
No. Talents, actually there's even no research which would support the notion of talent, right? Especially we're not talking about being born with blue eyes. We're talking about learning a skill. It's a skill that is universal, just like you learn how to ride a bike or drive a car. You can learn how to calibrate. You just need to know how to learn it and who to learn it from. So I'm more than happy to offer these teachings if they are useful to you guys, right? Here because I know how useful they have been in personal and professional lives of my customers in different parts of the world.
That is definitely a project I am going to work on. Well, 2 projects: getting you here to teach how to learn another language in 7 days, and also advanced calibration, because this stuff is fascinating.
Right.
Maybe we'll get some videos of you actually putting it to applying it to situations.
Right. Oh,
that
would be great. That's
fascinating.
fun. That's fun. Yeah, should do. Right, should do. I'm more than happy also to create a PDF for your subscribers.
That'd be great. Yeah.
With some ideas or how they can practice it and what to pay attention to. It's good enough to start realizing that there's many aspects and factors to be taken into consideration. We mentioned some of them, but because of the nature of this film, we cannot go for hours non-stop, right? Although we already have, considering how long we've talked together.
I know.
But definitely, I think that this PDF will be useful. So maybe if they
I'll send it out to my list. So just go to my
go.
website and make sure you put your email address in, and I will be kicking this out to the email list, so you get a chance to get this PDF.
Perfect.
Right.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for doing these videos. It's been a great pleasure.
More than welcome. Thank you very much.
Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. There you'll find free NLP training. Also, if you like this video, please click like right down here and leave me a comment or even a question. I will follow up with you. Make sure you check out my other videos with Dr. Matt. He is a very rare talent and a fascinating talent, and there's so much that I've been learning from him, and I just want to share that with everyone here. And also, if you really like our conversations, the conversations I have with Dr. Matt, and there's anything that you want to learn from any of the topics that we discuss, please let me know that. My objective is to bring him here to the States to do some training. So if there's trainings that you would like, or anything specific that you would like to learn from him, please let me know what those are, either by leaving a comment below or shooting me an email or messaging me on Facebook. Take care.